Hi everyone, welcome to Saxon's Hydrosphere. I'm Saxon and I love music and I love movies, and with this channel I wanted to create a space where both music and movie lovers can coexist. This week I'm going over to the music side of things and going to be talking about Periphery's new album, Periphery 5, Djent is Not a Genre. First of all, I'm inclined to agree with the title. I've always understood Djent to be a specific style or technique of guitar playing, and although there's a lot rhythmically you can do with it, calling it a genre always felt very try-hard and obnoxious to me. If someone told me they were in a Djent band, my response would be just as confused as if someone told me they were in a finger-picking band. Anyway, Periphery have pretty much been pioneering the whole progressive metalcore genre for a while now, easily being the most successful in that field in terms of both response and longevity, with Periphery 5 being their 6th or 7th album, depending on how you view Juggernaut, Alpha and Omega, as well as having released a 7-track EP in 2014. In terms of my own attachment to the band, they're a group that I weren't overly interested in until Periphery 3 Select Difficulty came out, which completely shifted my perspective on the guys, and I still hold as their best body of work next to the Juggernaut albums. And I have since come to appreciate and enjoy every album apart from the debut. There's just something about that first record that doesn't really grab me. So, how does this newest installment stand against the rest? Periphery 5 is pretty frustrating for me, to be honest. It's an album with a lot to love in places, but as a whole package feels kind of disjointed and hard work to get through. The first half of the record is for sure the best and most consistent. Wildfire and Atropos are both great opening songs with blistering riffs and some great vocal hooks to latch onto, but for all their virtues, they both have very meandering endings. Wildfire gets to what feels like the end, then kind of out of nowhere blasts back for 15 or 20 seconds with a djenty riff into silence, and then comes back with about 20 to 30 seconds of strings for a third closure to the song, and it's just kind of weird. And following that, Atropos closes off with another random short orchestral piece, which, at least to my perception, doesn't hold any relevance to the rest of the song or anything else on the album for that matter. Periphery 3 had moments of this, but actually made sense. The Way the News Goes finishes with a small piano motif, which reprises and is expanded on with strings after Absalom, and then is brought back and integrated into the grand finale of the closing track Loon, which all works in tandem together exceptionally and gluing the record together. But I don't really get a sense of that with these sporadic extra tidbits on this album, and it's a shame because, like I said, the rest of the music on these first two opening tracks is really good. Wax Wings is next on the album, and this is genuinely a pretty flawless song, the best on the album for me for sure. It's a song that you can instantly tell was penned by Mark Holcomb, by far my favourite guitar player in the band. He's just so identifiable with his melodies and riff writing. You can pick out a Mark riff or song pretty much anywhere in Periphery's work, whereas with Jake and Misha, I can't really ever find anything audibly unique about those two. Of course, that's not to say that they aren't great players, but I'm yet to really find an identifiable trait about them, at least not as distinctive as Mark. But anyhow, beyond just the riff itself that opens the track, this is a genuinely very well written tune from start to finish, proving that they can still write music that is both progressive and coherent, as well as being very accessible. Lyrically with Periphery, I've never paid too much attention with the exception of 1 or 2 tracks across the discography, but this is another that I really enjoyed for that aspect. The metaphorical idea of wax wings is something I really liked in the context of the song. Just imagine the damage that's done when you fly with wax wings in the sun is a great lyric, with the whole song touching on putting a smile when things aren't okay and how that act can be further detrimental to you, and for the most part it manages to avoid a lot of cliches that would be easy to fall into when writing about these kinds of things. Everything Is Fine then comes in and is easily the heaviest on the album, and for the most part I really enjoy this song too. I love the grit and attitude behind it, and to my understanding also touching on themes of self-reflection, not just on your own thoughts about yourself surrounding guilt, but how you're perceived by others too, although as a whole package I struggle a little to find one clear through line of what's attempting to be said. But anyway, music-wise I have a great time with this song too, especially if I'm in the mood for something really aggressive. It's probably right on the threshold for me in terms of how much I can enjoy something this heavy, so in that sense I guess I get a lot of adrenaline from that, especially right at the end when it's so dirty that I'm not sure if I love it but can't stop listening anyway, kind of like seeing a really horrible scene in a dark movie you're enjoying and can't look away. Silhouette is where the more frustrating aspects creep in though, because this song, as well as being really overproduced, feels like it's trying too hard to be a pop synthwave song that the integrity is kind of stripped away. And back to being overproduced, I really don't like how the vocals are mixed, produced, or even delivered here. Spencer's voice was always the aspect of the band I found hardest to latch onto initially, but once I got into the band properly, I found myself really loving and appreciating his vocals a lot. But on this song they kind of really make me cringe, and it's only made worse by the music behind it, especially when it comes to the key change at the end. It just feels, like I said, that they're trying too hard to write a synth pop tune, that it doesn't really feel honest enough, which is a shame because there are other times in their discography when they've dipped their toes into this kind of territory and I felt like it really worked. But here, something feels really off to me. Dying Star picks the quality back up again, and apart from a couple of areas that feel a little bit slow, I do enjoy this song for the quite melancholic atmosphere and the hooks and grooves throughout, but that's really where things stop being completely enjoyable for me, because the final 3 songs on here, Zagreus, Draculgras and Thanks Nobuo, are about as memorable as how to pronounce the track names themselves. There are some cool passages and riffs here and there, especially in the final track, but as a whole package it feels really disconnected and nothing of any real notoriety after the album finishes, which is only made worse by the last 2 tracks being over 10 minutes long and unjustifiably so, which ties back to my frustration and my biggest problem with this album: it's too bulky. I feel like there's a lot of fat that could have been trimmed off this record, making for a much more consistent listen. Chisel 2 or 3 minutes here and there across the album and remove those random bits of disconnected music I mentioned earlier, and that would make this a far stronger package, because there's a lot on the album, in the second half especially, that feels incredibly samey and like an indistinct wall of sound. In terms of when I'm not listening to the album, I can probably pick about 3 songs in my head that I know and remember significant parts of, and that's about it. So, overall, is it worth listening to? Yes, absolutely, especially if you enjoy progressive metal. I know I spent a minute or two just then kind of complaining, but there is genuinely a lot to love across the album, and I think there are plenty of diehard Periphery fans who will love this. It's just, for me personally, I think it could have been better refined, and my frustration comes from just how juxtaposed my experience was between certain tracks. But be sure to give this record a listen and form your own opinions and let me know your thoughts. And now, very quickly before I finish, I wanted to add something new to the way I do album reviews, where at the end I kind of just very quickly rank the discography with a grade at the end as well, to see where this new album fits in my overall enjoyment of the complete discography. And for Periphery, I am going to be including the Clear EP, and I'm counting Alpha and Omega as separate records, so there are 8 albums to get through here, and starting at the bottom with number 8, Periphery, grade E. Number 7, Periphery 5, Djent is not a genre, grade D+. Number 6, Periphery 2, this time it's personal, grade C. Number 5, Periphery 4, Hail Stan, grade C. Number 4, the Clear EP, grade B+. Number 3, Juggernaut Alpha, grade A+. For these last 2 it was really difficult because they are both a grade S for me, but number 2, Periphery 3, Select Difficulty, and number 1, Juggernaut Omega. So that's it from me today. Be sure to let me know what you thought of the new Periphery album down below, and remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel and share this around with your fellow Periphery fans. I do also have a Patreon that I will leave a link for in case you fancy checking out what I've got to offer over there, such as early access to content and all that stuff. I'm going to leave you with my song of the day now, and that's going to be from another new album that was out recently that I've been meaning to review for quite a few weeks, but things keep coming up and I keep having to push it back. But that's going to be Sempiternal Beings from Haken's new album Fauna, which I'm going to be reviewing very soon. Cheers for watching, and I'll catch you later, mate.